break even somehow. And then they can manage their yield in a way that says that, typically the first person who arrives at the airport and says, I want to get on a plane now, probably has an emergency or an urgency or a business emergent reason why he wants to do that. So I can sell that ticket more expensive to manage my yield in that manner. So there's absolutely nothing illegitimate by fare differentials or for the same seat or the same flight.
Even for the same class?
Absolutely, absolutely. In any one class of travel, you could have up to 5, sometimes even 20 different fares. For instance, and that's why in your fares you're going to see, if you were traveling business class, you might see C, okay, and then see Y, and see all kinds of different fare categories because the airlines are trying to manage the yield.
There are a lot of comments coming here and questions too. Like some people want to know if any consumer rights organizations were consulted in drafting this regulation.
Absolutely. I believe that the stakeholders consultation usually involves sending notices and publishing a notice in the newspaper where all stakeholders include not just the airlines, but the consumers, the airport operators, and every other person, concessionaires and all that, would come, and they would have a bunch of days where they sit together with the aviation authorities and they go through the draft regulations together.
Does this also cover, I know the security operatives, but does it also cover delays by customs and immigration for, as Taiwo Idowu says, for just no reason?
Those are law enforcement initiatives. It's hard to sit here and say that they're for no reason. Of course, I understand the human factor, but speaking generically or generally about what the process is, it's not supposed to be for absolutely no reason. And so, if for any reason you're delayed on account of a legitimate law enforcement initiative, then you should not be penalized. There shouldn't be a no-show or whatever the case may be. It should be an exception to the no-show rule. But you certainly would not expect an aircraft to be held up because one particular passenger is delayed by customs or immigration.
All right, because, so many complaints are already coming through here. So I know they can't wait, but I think you all have to wait until you get a hold of this. But you talked about how they can get it.
Yes.
Get to the airport, What about when they buy their tickets? Can they hand it over to them?
Well, it's like saying that people should be handed the regulations. It's hard to do that. I suspect that as we go on, you'd find maybe the Civil Aviation Authority or consumer advocacy groups who are going to look for how to abridge this into a bunch of few small bites where it says, look, let's give this out to everybody. They might find it at the ticket counters or where they're purchasing tickets, and then might have a reference to where you can find the bigger or the larger compendium of the law. But I think that everybody needs to come up with very creative methods of ensuring that people understand these rights.
Okay, then Tunji Martin says, well done. We hope that the enforcing of this will actually work right, because he says that's what we basically need. And then, okay, I think we'll have to just rest it here. So, we'll have to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Tunde Irokari, a legal practitioner. When we're talking about this airline passengers' rights. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
We're back in just a moment. Please join us again.
Mr. Accountant.
Sir.
I can see we have 4 more people on our staff list. Do you have the slightest idea how much this is going to cost me?
Not a kobo, sir.
Do you think I'm joking here?
No, sir.
So, who is going to pay them?
GIS will.
GIS?
Yes. Graduate Internship Scheme will, sir.
Tell me more about it.
Yes is another innovative way the federal government seeks to empower youth and women by getting them jobs and skills they need to make a living. Private and public organizations will mentor graduates for a period of 1 year. Interns will be paid by the federal government through the GIS program. Interested companies and organizations should check the GIS website for more information. SHOPI, Graduate Internship Scheme, brought to you by SHOPI and implemented by the Federal Ministry of Finance.
At this special time, there is no greater virtue than sharing the nourishment of Peak in special Ramadan packs. Ramadan Kareem from Peak.
Here's a reminder of our top stories at this hour. The Lagos State Governor, Babatunde Fashola, has advised residents to exercise a sense of ownership in the use of amenities provided to support the socio-economic growth of the state. He made this comment after an inspection tour of soon-to-be commissioned projects in the state yesterday, noting that his administration is committed to delivering on its promises. As our thieves find new ways of perfecting their trade, the National Assembly is also putting in place new legislations that will check rising network of these thieves. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, told a gathering of African, Caribbean, Pacific and European Union at the 10th Regional Parliamentary Meeting in Abuja that the National Assembly will indeed ensure that the crime attracts maximum penalty. The Army Commander, Brigadier General Modibo Alkali, has advised security operatives to work together in order to deal with the problem of insecurity in the country. He gave the advice during a week training program for security officers in Imo State. Brigadier General Alkali insisted officers must not discriminate as everyone has one goal to achieve, which is maintaining law, peace and order in the state. And on the international scene, newly elected Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says his win in Sunday's upper house elections will help him form a stable cabinet, ending political volatility. Exit polls suggest his ruling coalition won at least 76 of the 121 seats contested, and this would give Mr. Abe control of both houses of parliament, a first for a prime minister in 6 years. Those are the top stories at this hour. Sunrise Daily continues.
Well, yes, indeed, and thank you very much, Adeshawa. Well, now we'll turn our attention to what we had tweeted about, saying that we will. There are many in the Constitution at the moment, and then somehow, over the weekend, there's been this huge concerns, talk, debate about child marriage, and in relation to Section 29(4). Well, we'll find out. Let's even get to the background. First of all, for those who haven't seen this report, yes, part of that amendment, which was debated on the floor of the Senate, this is what actually transpired. So take a look at this one first.
Finally, federal lawmakers in the Senate held the much-anticipated vote on constitutional amendment.
Vote as your conscience directs you.
The vote held for almost 5 hours, with the lawmakers doing a clause-by-clause review of the areas for amendment. As expected, the lawmakers voted against the recommendation of a 6-year single tenure for the president, vice president, and state governors.
86 senators voted no, 1 senator abstained, and therefore this clause has not passed.
What was, however, shocking to Nigerians who have been monitoring the process was the rejection of autonomy for local government. 59 lawmakers voted for local government autonomy, while 38 voted against, bearing in mind that 73 votes are needed for any clause to be passed. Curiously, they voted against the removal of prisons from their